and welcome to the God is a Geek podcast. My name is Adam Cook, and this is episode 410. And this week, we've got a bit of three-way action for you, because I am joined by Christopher White.
Hello, good to be back.
Yep, hello mate, nice to see you. We missed you last week.
Yeah, no, it's good to be back.
And also, actually, now I think about it, we also missed Adam Carroll last week.
Hi. Good to be back.
How are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good.
Good chat. Thanks, Ads.
Do you know, bits and bobs. Well, like, do you know, I'm good. Do you want to get heavy?
No, you're right. You know, it's a platitude.
Straight away.
We have to just get it out of the way early on. It is a platitude. I appreciate and understand that. Drinking a bit of coffee there, I hope?
The usual. Don't have
usual.
the thing anymore.
Oh, the cafetiere.
Yeah,
Why
I
not?
don't have that going at the moment. Just standard instant coffee.
Wow.
Yeah, it's instant coffee. It's Kenko, I think.
Wow.
It's fine. It's very fine.
I've got a
Probably.
bit of coffee as well.
Oh, is it just me then? that's
Except
not
mine
getting it
is
around?
flavoured coffee.
Oh, tell me now. Is it vanilla
It's,
or
it's maple fudge.
What?
maple? Jesus, how many cups of that can you actually drink without before getting sick?
This is my second, and I'm already starting to feel like I might need to visit the bathroom.
I'm about to pass out.
Wow.
But there's I've got
So
cherry
soon.
chocolate. I've got amaretto,
what make
Turkish
is
delight.
this?
There's a company called Beanies.
Okay.
They do it in
I've
Aldi,
tried
but
beanies. Yeah,
I
I've
went
got.
on the website, and there's loads of it. It's gorgeous.
It's probably not.
I'm
the
not
right
really one
point
for
to tell you that
syrupy.
I absolutely hate it.
It's not syrupy. It's
No,
just
it's not
flavoured.
Well, not
syrupy,
syrupy,
it's
but like
flavoured.
flavored things like that. I've never been a fan
Yeah,
of
no,
it.
it's nice. Not
I
black
tried them.
coffee.
I ordered like a bulk pack off of like Amazon, and I didn't like a single one of the flavors.
Oh,
There was
I love
like
them.
there was so
Are you
many
a
ones.
coffee
that
drinker, Ed?
Oh yeah, man, yeah. I've got the machine and everything, and the milk frother, and I go the whole way. But I do not like those ones. I do like a syrup. I like a caramel latte or something, but I'm not a fan of. No, sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to start.
Hey, no,
off.
it's all right. Don't worry about it.
We all like
All
what we
good.
like, don't we, man?
We do.
But
I'm no
speaking of things
Superman.
we like, I know a game we all like. All three of us have played it, but it's only a demo, which really hurts because I want this game so badly. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 demo. They did it. They did it.
my God.
Well, to us, they did. But
They
to
did.
others, once again,
Oh, really?
some people are kind of a bit annoyed by it. I don't think people
Really?
people
Why?
don't like the kind of like and the noises that they make, the characters
But
and stuff
that's-
when they do.
Oh, come
But
on.
that's what they used to do.
I can't
Right?
recall. I don't
You
remember.
know what? I'll tell you what it is. It's because, it's
on,
because
Chris.
I've seen like a few people put videos out and whatnot.
Yeah.
But, like it's because like there's no music in those videos because they can't because they're like licensing on YouTube
Yes.
and stuff.
Yeah, they
So you just
got a
hear the
code, and
grunts.
They even said to us,
Right.
look, if you want to put it on YouTube,
Yeah.
You
But
know.
you can't listen to like Goldfinger on the soundtrack or Rage
Yeah.
because we're not allowed, which is fine, which is obviously fair enough.
Yeah.
But that's you can still like if you're playing with the music on, you can't hear it.
Yeah.
So I think
No.
it's just yet again another reason, isn't it?
Mm.
Like just to talk about how fantastic it is and how they've managed to take that experience from 17 years ago and put it into the modern day perfectly. Like it
Right.
plays just like in my head how it played back in the day.
Mm.
Whereas I'm sure if I went back and played it now, it wouldn't be the same because obviously consoles have improved a lot. But they've managed to get that feeling back, and it's insane. Like your muscle memory, how it just kicks in all of a sudden. You remember
And that's the craziest part as well. You're just like
Yeah.
you're playing, kind of, whoa, you're going, and it's very fast, and
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, it's all coming back now, and you start just becoming amazing.
It's
again.
insane. Like, yeah, it's like connecting collecting every move with a manual, and it's just that fascination with getting a higher score, and like the 2 minutes ends and you're back in, 2 minutes ends, you're back in, and this is the demo of one course for 2 minutes. There's nothing else to do
Yep.
other than skate, and it's obsessive, like it's addictive. So when that whole game comes out and you've got all the levels from
Both
both
games.
games,
Yeah.
you've got all the skaters, you've got all the new skaters, you've got the soundtrack and all the new music
Mm.
and all the new challenges and stuff. Like, just feed it to me now. Like, oh
It's
my
a
God.
testament. It's a testament to that game's just legacy because of that like 2-minute demo that comes out, and we're here chatting about it right now. Which is when I go look back at the time of getting the demo back in the day, 2 minutes again, I played it to absolute death, which is like, let's get out of the way here. I don't think that this like demo should have been a pre-order thing. I think that's just shit. Like a point of a
It's a bit
demo.
strange that they do that, because I feel like this is a game after 5. You need to get in people's hands and say, no, we got it right this time.
Yeah, I don't want people doing this kind of thing for like, you got to, if you want to play a bit of it, you got to pre-order the digital, because it's just like I played this through like a friend buying it digital and then logging the accounts, whatever. You know, that's my only, because I'm going to buy a physical. I have a pre-order good to go, but like, I just like the demo, just get the hype going, get everyone excited. We could all do, the world could do with this Tony Hawk demo for 2 minutes just to play it over and over. And
well, it's funny though, like the 2-minute thing is I started playing it and I was a bit like, maybe I'm not past it, but maybe I'm sort of beyond playing this kind of game again. And then all of a sudden it was like 30 to 40 minutes later and I was like, no, I need to stop playing this now because I just want more. Like, I don't think I even, the specials, the supers or whatever they are. Like, I don't know if they changed how high you can get, or if it's just because it's on this map. But no, I can only manage to land one of them.
I thought exactly the same, and I sort of wrote in my like little thingy, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Now I can't remember if you could do this in the original game, but I certainly noticed, like, when you go into the main menu, you could look at obviously your stats for Tony Hawk's, but you can obviously improve it. Now his air was on like not halfway, but just slightly over halfway. So I'm wondering if you can shoot that off, and then you will get as high as you can.
Also, you can change what moves you do as a character. So maybe that one is better for because I could only do the one where you flip. You do like a somersault, and I could land that. But I never managed to land. I don't know.
The 900
was a rotation.
Yeah,
I could. I just couldn't land it. And in the end, it wasn't that I got annoyed or bored. It was like it was one of those. It reminded me a bit of like the times when they release games betas, and it's like, no, I need to stop if I'm enjoying this now because I'm going to have to do this all. I mean, it's a bit different because like that's just one level.
Yeah.
And like even in that, did you notice? I just wondered. There was a few sections where I was like, can I get over there? And they've locked it off for the demo. So there's a section. It's hard to describe because obviously it's in 3D. But there's a section that looks like a bit you can get outside the doors. To the,
I know what you mean.
I was going to say to the right bit.
It is to the right. So, to the right of the ramp when you're looking back up from where you came from. There's like a little gap where you probably get outside.
So you go down the ramp and then if you turn around and look back at it to the right, there's like a... And I just wondered, can I get out there?
I reckon.
And obviously you can't now.
Possibly could, because
it's...
Because the areas were always relatively big. But now it's like, it's been remastered. There's no reason why they can't make them bigger and add a few bits too.
No.
But
no, but like genuinely, Adam, it's really took me by surprise there that some people are complaining because
minor complaints. I think a lot more people are.
I don't know what more you could want from. Like if every level is done as well as this, and I mean at the end of the day, is the mechanics.
Yeah. People don't seem impressed by what they've seen or something, and I'm like, but
really, well, what did they want then?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but like,
it's called Tony Hawk's 1 and 2. Like, what did they want?
I just know after playing that demo, I was like, okay, like knowing that it was coming, I was like, I'm definitely up for this if they put it off. Do you know?
I mean, seeing that demo and what I've seen of Crash Bandicoot, like Activision look like they've got 2 potential like award-winning games.
Yeah.
Like
Tony Hawk is going to be. Like, I'm going to put in some hours into that game. I know I will. I just know I will.
And I thought I would never do that again.
Yeah.
I think that's what's so cool about it.
I want to give a quick mention, though, to the music side of it, right? So I don't know the new playlist at all of what's been added, right? I know...
Do you not want to know?
I don't want to know because I might know a song and I'd be like,
some old, some new, basically.
But the beauty of Tony Hawk, anyway, for me, was like, when I played the original was... not knowing half of these bands and then loving these bands. Do you know what I mean?
EA used to do that quite well with their EA tracks.
I know you're not and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, even the stuff like that, you would and you'd be like, oh, that's a cool track, you know?
Yeah. So as I was playing this demo, I lost my shit when I found out that they have Billy Talent on it. So they have Billy Talent, Afraid of Heights on it, which is one of my favorite songs, one of my favorite bands, and I was like, Jesus, if this game was
isn't that an amazing feeling though? Do you know? I mean, we'll talk about it at some point. But before 2K had the PGA Tour games, when it was Tiger Woods' PGA Tour, I remember when Jimmy Eat World's Chase This Light came on suddenly, and I was like, like hearing one of the bands you love that you would never think would be in a game like this because they're not perhaps big enough or popular enough, and you're like, That's for me.
Yeah.
I like them. They're a
But
band I like.
it's how these songs make you play these games. This is a part of the game that I just really think is unreal. Like if Billy Talent comes on, and all of a sudden I'm just bossing the demo. Like I'm just like the music is just making you be good at the games you love it.
It reminds you of. I mean, it always reminds me when something like that happens of that opening of Burnout Paradise.
Yeah.
When Paradise City kicks in and you are literally their controller, like, okay, let's do that. You know, and
what FIFA had like song 2 and stuff. What FIFA?
Probably not yet. Wow, well done, Chris. Wow.
Not yet.
Oh, shit.
Which one?
I played Road to the World Cup 98.
98, yeah. Like I used to love when that started and stuff. Like, you know, it's just
And you know, you hear a song on the radio. Like I listen to a lot of XFM, and I'll hear a song, and even my kids will go, "Oh, that's the song from PES, or that's the song from FIFA." And it's funny how there's one in this year's FIFA, and there's one in last year's PES that was like quite a big radio hit, and you do associate them, don't you?
Yeah, I think like the reason why, like obviously it's got a lot of nostalgia to it, and like there are a few games that come out that you played back a long way back, not like a few years ago. Like Shadow of the Colossus, that wasn't like ages ago, but they remastered that. Yeah. I'm talking about old games, which we're going to talk about another one, which I'd written this Tony Hawk's thing, and then I played that. I was like, oh god, maybe it's more than this. But basically, the thing that makes it so good is the fact. One of the reasons is you've got all the characters from the old games, like Bob Burnquist and like Bucky Lasek and Tony Hawk.
And apparently
they're all their age
Jack Black's
now.
in it, by the way.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, apparently he's playing the policeman. Which I don't. I mean, so much time. I mean, I wouldn't even like to. I mean, it was a PlayStation 1 game, the original, right?
Yeah.
So
that's Spider-Man in the original, didn't it? Spider-Man, and I've got a feeling in Tony Hawk's 2 it had Darth Maul because it was around the time of the Phantom Menace.
But there's a cop or something. There's a cop in it, something, and it looks like they've data mined the demo as people do these days, and it's Jack Black is playing that cop,
right?
And it just made me think there's going to be a lot of that in this game. So there's 2 whole games. Like there's going to be a lot of because there always was.
Yeah, I mean,
secrets.
Like the time it came out, I assume most of us were around the same age, but it was when pop punk was big.
Oh yeah, Avril Lavigne.
And punk and like bands like Lagwagoner and Tony Hawk's 2 and that kind and Goldfinger. It was a time of like Jackass. Yeah, Millencolin. There's a time of like around Jackass and American Pie.
Wasn't there an Ash song in one of them?
I don't know. I don't know if it was in the first 2.
I think it's probably because you said Goldfinger. I'm thinking of Ash now.
But the second game I played much more than the first. But like that soundtrack, just like Blood Brothers. I remember just like the image of playing the school level and listening to Blood Brothers because that was the first song that kind of came on every time we started it, and like Bad Religion and Rage, which is in the demo, like fucking Guerrilla Radio, which is an incredible song. Like it's just, it makes me feel better that they're older in it as well. Like because I feel old, like trying to enjoy a skateboarding game, but it makes you feel good that these guys are still doing it in their 40s, and Tony Hawk's 52. Because like we were trying to find out the other day, like just because he's still doing this kind of shit and he's 52, that's insane.
Fair play.
But like just on a slight offshoot of this, the documentary that there's a review up on the site called "Pretending I'm a Superman," which is a demo. Which is a documentary about the Tony Hawk series. You need to watch it. Like it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like it's so amazing how, like, when you think back how the games impacted the world and the video game medium and skateboarding and all these different aspects of entertainment, like it was massive, and it's still like one of the best sports series of all time. And it's just fascinating hearing like little stories about it and little anecdotes from Tony Hawk and everyone else. Like it was almost a Rockstar game. It was almost a Nintendo game. And then Neversoft asked Tony Hawk to come, or Activision asked Tony Hawk to come down, and they had like a big board meeting, and everyone was in suits and sat around this table, and Tony Hawk walks in his cargo pants and sits down, and they start showing him all these PowerPoint presentations of like figures and what could be achieved by releasing it now, and all this demographic shit. And he kind of went, "No, I'm good, thanks. I'll pass." And then Neversoft were like, "Well, just play the demo." And he sat down and played the demo, and he was like, "This is the game I want my name to be on. Like, this is exactly how I imagine it."
Yeah.
Like, he wants it to be arcadey, but he wants it to be real, and he wants it to feel like a proper skateboarding game, and like that's kind of where it happened. And there's loads of that stuff in the documentary, but like just the fact that this game's back, it's just amazing because it's such a good game.
I just want to add to that as well is that, like, look, there's been like so many like great games already this year that we've played, but like I've loved it all. And then it's like that we're all in the funk of games now, where it's like we can't take our mind off of everything else. We can't just solely focus ourselves into a game right now. We can't get lost in it because of other shit outside of games.
Yeah,
just that what this year has just done. When I played Tony Hawk Demo, I was like, oh my god, like I just wasn't thinking about anything else but what this game has done for me back in the day and stuff. So I'm so up for it.
I think that I want more of this kind of game.
Yeah.
So I'm not. I'll talk about it another week. But like I've been playing Risk of Rain and you know Deep Rock Galactic and games that can take your time. You know, like you could play Tony Hawk's for hours, but you don't. They're not. You're not invested in them in the way you would be in, like, and this is not me doing it a disservice because we all know how much I love God of War, but a God of War or an Uncharted or a Last of Us, you know, I think at the moment I want those games. I want the Rogue Legacy 2s, I want the Spelunkies, I want the arcade.
Yeah, just the,
I guess the arcade games.
I think a lot of people are in that boat as well, man.
Yeah. And I don't know why or when that happened, and I still like the other kinds of games. But like, you know, this segs nicely in. Let's talk about it. Battletoads, Chris. I've played about an hour, I think, of it.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, I don't know if it's because I expected nothing, or I don't know if it's because Streets of Rage 4 showed me that these games still work for me.
Yeah, I kind of...
it's way better than this game has any right to be.
I wasn't hyped for it at all.
Like, didn't expect anything.
I played some of it when I was younger. I played the Rare Replay and went to the Turbo Tunnel just because everyone... Not particularly.
Like them?
Not particularly, because...
They were balls hard, but they weren't hard in like a Super Meat Boy I'm learning way. They were just...
No. I think it was more that particular level was hard, and then it's become this bigger of a legend that the whole game was really hard, and then like it just got forgotten about. But let's talk about this one. Everything about this game is phenomenal. Like it's an incredible, like, beat 'em up. Side scrolling is excellent. The variety in the combat and the look of it is gorgeous. It's colourful. It's fun. And then you've got the writing and the comedy elements. Like, it's genuinely a funny game. Like, there's no, like, it's video game funny. It's like funny. Like, it reminds me a lot of like Teen Titans Go and stuff like that. An Amazing World of Gumball and all that kind of show where the jokes are so layered that it can be funny to a kid and it can be funny to you. And it goes meta all the time. Like, when there's a bit around
like that. Like, because I thought it was quite interesting that they basically quite early on in the game say, "Hey, we know nobody cares about Battletoads." But it's because it is obviously Rarer involved, but it's Dlala
game. Yeah,
the actual studio that developed the game. So it is weird them saying, "Hey, nobody cares about Battletoads," when it's not even their IP. It just like you said, layers. It's weird.
But I'd like to know who would have played that back in the day, and like, because like from Dlala, because it's just the way they do kind of mock themselves. It's like they mock themselves, but then they prove why it's back. They prove why 26 years later we need another Battletoads game, because it's just so fantastic. Like, it's certainly on a par with Streets of Rage, if not slightly more enjoyable due to the kind of the story and the animation, and there's just stupid bits in it that don't, like, there's like a rock paper scissors section where they play something and you literally press the button to do like rock paper scissors, although it's not called rock paper scissors, it's called something stupid like that. Didn't need to be in there, but it is just because they can. And then there's like really complex levels where you've got these beat 'em up sections, you've got like sections where you have to like hack security. There's those like sections like BioShock when you're trying to hack the system and the fluids. It's got something similar to that where you change the direction of where this like little current goes. And like that, they're just thrown in. And then on top of the fight, and you can traverse the level slightly differently. Like, you use your tongue to get across platform, like go to platforms in the background, and you're fighting enemies there, and you can swing back over here. There's boss fights that can constantly mix it up, and like, they're tricky, but they're not.
How long is this game around, Chris?
It's 4 acts, and you've got about, I think each one lasted around, I think it's about 6.
I'd heard
6
3 to 4
hours.
But it
is
depends
it?
on that. I don't know.
Mind you,
I heard that.
I went back and played. I'd say
You
6
went
because
back
then
for
you
capture and a lot of it, I know. So,
yeah, something might be it.
but
But it's
even if
like
it's
it's
6,
still
that's bloody long for a beat 'em up.
it's
Yeah.
still like because it's I think maybe because it is quite like there's 3 difficulty settings as well. And I was playing on medium, and even medium is difficult. Like there are certain things where if you're not like some enemies feel a bit overpowered, and like your health bar's full, and then you take an attack from someone and they completely wipe you out. But
Also, it's
that's solely
designed for
because
co-op, isn't it? And
you can't play co-op online at the minute.
nah, that is
It's
That's a
local
shame.
couch co-op. Yeah, it is a shame. But
Yeah.
there are ways to like. I kept forgetting that I could dash. Like you dashing mechanic. Like as soon as you press it, you straight away. Like there's no waiting around. So you use that quite a bit to get out of like long range attacks and stuff like that. And there are a lot of things to help you protect yourself.
Yeah.
It's just kind of getting used to them all, and they do throw a lot at you, but you never feel like you never struggle with it. Like the 3 characters themselves, they're all kind of tropey in the fact that you've got one that's like balanced, you've got one that's a lot faster,
Yeah.
and then you've got one that's the big boy, and he comes in and just pounds everyone. And they've all got different, like you can utilize them differently with certain scenarios, like boss fights. It's like one of the first boss fights where I found this out was like there's this big thing, this big alien floating in the background, and you have to use your tongue to pull out its eyeballs, and then you have to destroy the eyeballs, and then you do that with one of the lower powered characters, and it takes a lot longer. And when you've got a lot of other enemies on screen trying to fight, it kind of takes a while. But when you get this, I think his name's Pimple, the big guy, it takes him off as long, and then you can switch back to one of the others. And just it'd be amazing in co-op. Like I
have
had
played
a little go, but it needs someone a bit more experienced in that kind of style because it is quite tricky.
I played a bit of it in co-op with Chris Hyde. Basically, we used Parsec to basically have a remote desktop into my computer to play it, and it worked because we both got like high-speed internet. You can still switch characters. Like if there's a third character not being playable, you can still use the D-pad to switch to.
Oh, cool! So like Lego.
Like the one you're not. And I'll be honest with you, we played the first level in a bit, and he was sold enough to go and pre-download it on Xbox because he enjoyed it that much. Like, there's not again. I was talking about this to Mick Fraser, how because he reviewed Mortal Shell. I think we spoke about that last week, and I feel like there's a lot of those games now. Whether you want to call them Souls-like or whatever, but like what I find there isn't a lot of is the kind of genre I feel they jumped off of, which is the Bayonettas, the Devil May Cries. And I've talked about this before. I feel like that genre has actually been replaced by the Souls-like genre. And I guess that people are more happy with that because it's like, well, it's got more. It's not just an action adventure game. It's now an RPG, and
you don't always want that, do you?
No, I love those games. They're my bag. The Ninja Gaidens when they were good. That sort of stuff. But I do feel like we don't get an awful lot of this genre. We don't get Streets of Rage 4, Battletoads. There are some games that have been in and around that area.
A lot of indie games that have come out that are quite
exactly that,
like that, but nothing with a license, like proper license. Like and you say just Streets of Rage and Battletoads have come out this year, but both of them have been fantastic.
And
so why not have more? Like even if it's creating a brand new one and just spending a bit of time with it to make it, like, people want these games. People don't want story-driven games, and as good as The Last of Us 2 is, it drains you and it leaves you wanting to play something fun.
It's a totally different thing. Yeah. And I must admit, I'm looking forward to finishing Battletoads because I was really enjoying it. I think so far, I personally prefer Streets of Rage 4, but I think that's just because the emotional attachment to Streets of Rage is impossible for like Battletoads to compete with because I didn't like Battletoads. No.
Have you played the Turbo Tunnel bit?
Level 2?
Is that yeah?
I think it's not level 2 proper, like after the mini games. And
stuff.
I thought it was good. And I didn't even think it was that hard. Like I didn't think it was.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
I didn't die. I think I wiped out once. But it's because I was trying to. There's a bit in it where you can jump while you're on the hoverboat bikes.
Yeah,
and there's bits where you sort of have to jump round obstacles. And I was sort of experimenting to try and get the collectibles. But if I'd just been playing it just to get through the level, I don't think I'd have died at all. I don't think it was.
Yeah. It's just
it's fun. It's fun. I tell you what, colourful, so colourful and lovely, and just like again, a bit like we're talking about Tony Hawk's, like kind of the antidote at the moment. Like this, just
absolutely, yeah.
And you know what? Yet another game that's a Microsoft game that's probably going to get no credit, and because I don't know, I'm starting to wonder. this is a conversation for another podcast, but I am starting to wonder if the damage has been done with the brand, because it just doesn't, like, people just don't talk about these games. You know, like there's people in the review. You know, as we record this, the review's barely been up a few hours. It was a daft embargo. Like, they were obviously worried about it because it was like a 1 a.m. embargo, so it was the second it was available, I'm guessing. And there's already people saying, "Oh, like, yeah, Microsoft this, that, and the other. Oh, I can't believe you gave it this." It's like, you haven't played it.
Yeah, fuck off.
And for this game to be getting that suggests that there is already like an element of people who want this game to fail. And
It's rare. Like, Rare have got a hand in it. Like,
but Rare, I think, have only got a hand in it as much as they created the characters. I don't know how much they developed.
No,
I mean, I don't know. I don't know, but
there's definitely that attraction.
oh, it's definitely got a Rare look to it.
Yeah, and oh man, people
It's just really good.
Give it a go. Like,
And
get on
before-
it. It's on Game Pass. Get on it. Fucking
Exactly
play
that.
it. And
But
it's
the other
free.
thing, the reason I mentioned the Microsoft thing is I did want to just briefly touch upon Microsoft Flight Simulator, because I talked about it last week and I was very positive on it, and I do want to just say that my just take that opinion and just flip it all the way around to how I feel about it now.
Oh no.
I don't understand why everyone is saying this game is like super accessible. I don't. They must have a different build of the game to me, I think. It looks gorgeous until you get up close to certain areas, but I'm not going to have a go at it for that, because it's not very easy to map the entire world, is it? You know, I get that. That's fine. It's not accessible, and my concerns about this being on an Xbox, I think I'm not so sure now that this is going to be on an Xbox because, like, you know, I'm playing on the controller, and then it comes up on screen, press G to raise your landing gear, and it's like, I don't have a G. Okay, fine, I'll press G on the keyboard. Now, if they haven't mapped it yet to full keyboard setup, full joystick setup, then they're going to have to do that. Although you can plug a key. My son plays Minecraft on Xbox mouse and keyboard. You know, you can plug that in. I don't know. Like, I just don't think the tutorials do as good the first hour I played, based on my impressions last week, were positive. But the more I got into the tutorials, the more I just don't feel like. So, like, there was. The fail states were like it would just suddenly fade and start you again. I go, no, you weren't quite doing that right. Okay, what was I doing wrong? Because if you don't tell me what I was doing wrong,
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm supposed to make sure I don't do it again. You have to tell me exactly what and in plain English, you were doing this. Don't do that. Because if you don't, like I say, I'm going to do it again. It's going to reset you with a little fade to black and say, right, no. It's like, again, if you don't tell me, I can't know. And it seems to do that a lot. Like, and I get that it's for a certain person. I get that this is for people who are interested in flight sims. But being on Game Pass, I feel like more people will try it than normally would have. And I really want to like this, but I feel like I'm rubbing up against it the wrong way, because every time I think I'm making progress, I'll do something wrong. Like, I've played this, and I got Chris Hyde to play it, and Mick Fraser's playing it, and all three of us had problems with the controller in that it would drift to the right, okay? Now, I spent hours. I tried 2 different controllers, then I tried a third one, and all of them seemed to be drifting to the right. Is that intentional? Is that because of the wind? It didn't feel like it, because it felt like I was fighting the plane's yoke. It felt like I was fighting it, and I'm just left in a really confused state as to what I'm doing wrong, and how I make it not be wrong and enjoy the game as I was when I started it again.
Yeah, there's quite a few people saying that it's kind of a game nearly for everyone to try out, but like, I've played a flight simulator way back in the day, it might have been 98 or something like that, and Christ, I did not get what I was doing. I was just taking off and crashing, and off we go.
But you don't even crash in this, by the way. So I don't know if they've patched it, but beforehand, if you went to go crash, it would just fade to black. And then when Chris Hyde was playing
it would fade to black, is it?
You just go like that, and sometimes it would say, "Oh, you damaged your landing gear." And it's like, "Yeah, no shit, I damaged my landing gear. I flew into a floor." And then when Chris Hyde was playing it, I said, when we finished, we were playing. I said, "Go on, just crash." And he went to crash, and he went straight down like that, and he just hit the floor, and then it started him driving through trees. And then he ended. And I was like, "Oh God,
It's
drive
not
straight
to
into that building." And he drove into the building, and nothing happened. So I don't know if that
not
was
to
a bug.
point out the obvious, but like, is it just a situation where they're not going to put in like a very detailed
It's
plane
exactly
crash?
that. Yeah, 100% that.
Like, I don't
Yeah.
think people want to see that, maybe.
But you're
But
telling
like,
me that no one playing this, there's not a huge portion of people who are going to play this and go, "I'm going to crash that plane."
you're going to try.
I'm going to crash it
Obviously,
into my
yeah.
mate.
But
You know.
I think like for me, I got into SnowRunner right throughout the
Yeah.
year. So these kind of games are definitely like, I'm not a pro at them by any stretch, but you know,
but you're not against them.
I'm not against them, and Flight Sim sounds so ambitious in terms of like the open world scope and all that jazz they've gone for, and I'm just intrigued by that. And like hearing the ease of access, let's say, I hear that and I'm like, oh, it's even better again. But then I hear your issues, and I am going to play it with a controller, which is probably out of what is it? You can use keyboard.
You can use flight sticks, all sorts.
Flight stick.
Yeah.
I'm sure flight stick is probably going to be the best way to do it if you're
yeah.
super into that kind of thing. Controller is probably going to be the worst. And
I don't know, man. I played it on keyboard and mouse as well, and I actually think controller. I can only assume it's a drift issue on all of my controllers.
Right.
I mean, all of them. But I would actually say the keyboard, because so you don't like hold the button to to push the throttle in. You you tap it and you can incrementally push it in, which is more accurate. But on the keyboard, you're like, so it's on the number pad, so it's like 4, 8, 6, 2 for pitching your plane. And I found that I would be okay, and then I'd make an adjustment, so the plane would be going okay. I'd make an adjustment to go round, and then suddenly I would just lose control and be going like this, trying to correct it, and eventually I couldn't, and I would just go down and crash. And
so
that was with the keyboard as well.
Out of curiosity, though, like, does it actually like explain? Because I know shit about planes.
No.
Like, does it tell you what's what? Like, this is what this does, and like
it suggests at the start it's going to, but it didn't. Like it gives you terms and goes, and this is that. And at first I was like, is she saying that word wrong? Oh no, that's a thing in flight simulators. Okay, in plane stuff, that's a okay. What's that? Like, I don't know. There's all these terms and terminology, and I still don't know what any of them mean, and I don't know if I need to know. It's clearly it's very good one of those, but after the first sort of part of playing it, I've not gone that sort of cold on a game for a very long time. It really soured me. Like I don't think it does anywhere near enough to bring in new people, and I don't. It's technically very impressive.
I still really want to play it though. Like I just think,
I would say, and I want to like it more than I do, but.
I want to go to Cork Airport and see what's going on.
But it won't be there. It won't be because they've
well, it's about this
modeled,
size, so
no, they've modelled certain places, but not others, and they've done like a approximation. So Bournemouth Airport, which is I suppose my nearest, it's the roads that go round it are right, but the airport, it doesn't seem right to me. And if you're not in an area that's been mapped because it's I don't know big enough. It's difficult. Like I thought I found a sort of landmark for where I live, but then I was like, actually, none of these houses look right. You know, and there's someone that's like says.
But are they like? To be fair, though,
yeah.
Not to. Are we discrediting? Like, are we being a bit too harsh there? And
yes,
because
we are.
like the scope, if they aren't kind of going for that's kind of it. Yeah,
and they could
like
as they progress update them. Definitely, no, definitely. It's really. I'm not marking it down for that. That's not fair.
Yeah.
It technically very impressive.
Yeah,
very. But 95 gig, maybe it's not going to be 95 gig on my hard drive for much longer. Also, they did a really shitty thing of like saying you can preload this game. No, you can't. You preload like how Destiny or something has like here's the game, but once you load it up, it starts installing the rest of it.
Oh, yeah,
it's like a 10 gig download, and then like the other 90 gig, you have to wait until you can boot the game. So you couldn't preload it. You could download the launcher, and it takes so long to load. Which again, what it's doing.
I really want to know about that drift, though. I want to see if that's an all-rounder thing.
I just don't understand it. Like everyone I know who's played it has had some sort of issue with the planes drifting. I don't know if it's we've both got dodgy installs or if all of us have got dodgy controllers. It seems unlikely. I don't know. Chris, let's go back to you though for some sports talk.
Yes. Which one do you want to hear about?
Up
Well,
to
you've
you
played.
entirely, mate.
Okay, well let's get UFC out of the way. That's not fair because I actually quite enjoyed it, but it's an improvement on 3, and what like Adam Carroll, you'll know about this because you've mentioned it to me on the podcast before. Where we're talking about like UFC 3 is the submissions and the ground grappling and how it was just a bit convoluted and a bit just like not overly complicated, but like you have to know exactly what you're doing to be able to make the most out of that system. Well, they've kind of changed it in quite a big way. So if you want that experience, like you want to know, like you've got grapple assist basically. And without grapple assist, it kind of is similar to the old games where you transition from your half guards to your submissions and all that kind of thing. With grapple assist, it's just you either want to get up out of a ground move, or you want to ground and pound, or you want to attempt a submission. And it's pretty straightforward to get in any one of those. And the actual bars, the gauges, you've got 2 different gauges for chokes and joint kind of submissions. I forget which one's which now, but like the circle's back, but it's a lot easier to kind of maneuver. So you've got that. That's just there. And then the other one is like a little half circle, semicircle like bar, and you press L2 and R2 to move it to the left or to the right. And you have to mirror your opponent, whether you're trying to make them submit or trying to get out. But it's a lot more straightforward than it used to be. I feel more confident taking an opponent to the ground, whereas I was always more, I just want to strike. I just want to use my feet and my hands to destroy them.
That's the thing, Chris. I feel is like if UFC had to decide, like if they want the game either to be like super technical, but like the mini kind of submission thing that they had going on it just wasn't working great. So like it wasn't balancing out for what they were striving to try and achieve, which is kind of what led me to kind of think, should they just go down the kind of not arcadey route, but a bit more laid back and just let us just go in and just start punching and
absolutely
that kind of stuff, you know? So
I mean that's all. There's still the big sim experience in the overall matches, and in terms of striking, like there's been some slight variations to how you perform a move, but there are a lot more arcadey kind of experiences. So they've got the returning is the knockout mode where you can just batter the shit out of each other without any submissions or any clinches or anything like that being in play. But they've added like this new mode new arena called the Kumite Arena. I don't know what it means, but it basically just think Mortal Kombat.
I can help there. It's Kumite.
Thank you.
Red Bull Kumite.
Oh, is it? Nice one. So there you go. So you've got...
I believe it's Kumite. Yeah.
Right, cool. So the visuals and the sound effects, like there's a deep voice that kind of screams go, and like you've got very much a feel of like Mortal Kombat bled in with like Bloodsport, and you've got those modes. You've got like your backyard mode as well, where you're fighting and all people like sitting around in a circle, like drinking beer and listening to music.
I was quite shocked when you sent that footage, and I was like, oh, I'd edited and read the review first, and I was like, sorry, there's what? And then when I saw the footage, I was like, yeah, it's like a fighting game. It's weird, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool.
It is cool.
And I'll be honest, it's not enough to get me to want to go play the game, but it is
I mean,
cool.
like the one thing I love about playing UFC is the career mode as well, because I like the fact that you take a created character from the very beginning to the very end, and there is always an end in sight. It's not continuous. You just keep playing over the years, and realistically, when 50 years has passed, you still looking as good as you do, then what's the point? And like with each, this is listed in the last one, so I'm not really saying anything new, but like when you have a fight and you don't train correctly, or you've not studied your opponent, you'll get beaten to shit. And then a substantial part of your overall career bar in the top right of your corner goes down, which means it's shortened your career quite drastically. So that's why it's so important to pay attention to the way they do the career mode. And like with each fight you accept, you could choose between 1 to 5 weeks to train. obviously, if you choose 1 week, you're not going to get any decent training in. You're going to go into that fight massively unprepared. You can now watch tapes of your opponent, so you can see what their stats are, what style of fighting they are, like whether they're kickboxer, jiu-jitsu, boxer, wrestler, anything like that. And then you kind of get an idea of who you're fighting. There's a social media element, which is shit.
I'm telling you,
no
man.
surprise
Now,
there.
the second I saw the fighting stuff you talked about, the Mortal Kombat style, I was like, oh. And then the second I read the social media stuff, I was like, I am.
Do you give each other shit or something on it? Is it?
I do not want in a game. It's social media.
No, I know. You do and you don't. Like the thing is with UFC, like it's always been relatively popular, but there's no denying that Conor McGregor brought that professional wrestling element to it with the character, like the kind of, he was a dickhead, but he could back it up. But like him and Nate Diaz, their famous feud, like the amount of shit that went off there, and even like when he threw that thing at the bus and he was fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov and all that,
fucking attitude era all over again.
Yeah, it was. And like social media is kind of growing between UFC fighters, and it is a part of it now. You see it all the time, whether it's like Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier, who had a massive fight recently, chipping away at each other, or someone in the lightweight division. It doesn't matter. But you get the option to, like, sometimes you'll see a tweet, because it is a tweet, but they can't call it a tweet.
What do they call it? Do they call it something close to a tweet?
No, they don't call it anything. It's just like a social media message at the bottom of your corner. And then you can read it, and certain ones you can reply to, like if you decline a fight and the person who you're fighting like gives you some shit, you can then say, oh, like, fuck off. Well, you can't say fuck off, but you can be positive or negative, and that will impact your fighter relationship. And allegedly, it's supposed to create like rivalries.
Yeah.
It doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really affect, like, I'm still picking fights with other people, and maybe down the line I might get a fight. And you can improve the hype of a fight by improving, like, by creating like this rivalry. But the fights are no different.
It'd be interesting, like, if they were able to have like a thing where you create the hype, you create the beef, and if you build it up to such a level of hype that when you fight and if you win, you get that little extra bonus of whether it's like rep or money or whatever it is.
I mean, career. you do build hype is like a form of that. So you earn money from fights, but you also can build the hype of a matchup to give you more kind of XP. Yeah. So it does work, but it doesn't work.
But it'd be handy like if we could make the opponent that little bit more challenging.
Yeah, no, it would be amazing.
It, you know?
Yeah, and it'd be nice if the commentary reflected that a bit better. Yeah. But like it's kind of feels like it's in its infancy. Like it feels like, not they've rushed it because it's 2 years since the last one, but if they'd just missed this one and waited for next gen and then took advantage of that and the power, and they could add more to it and build more out of this social media thing. But I'd rather just take away the social media and just have like in press conferences where no, not UFC.
So they could have waited.
They could have waited. But the press conference is the best thing about like the UFC build-ups, because it's like boxing. When something kicks off in a press conference, it's all over the internet. It's all over TV. Like more recently, George Masvidal had a little spat back like at one of his press conferences with Usman, and it was amazing. And that kind of it hypes because it doesn't normally happen. And there's certain people in the UFC who just go in, fight, and they talk with their fists and they show like they don't need to do all that. But on the other hand, everyone loves that kind of theatre element. So that would be cool. But the career, it feels very much the same. There are new things, like you can go and invite fighters to your training camp and learn new moves. And like the way the training is done, it flows a lot better. It doesn't take as long. But it's still kind of the same. But like it's fine. Like there's new fighters. The whole Joshua Fury thing, I don't particularly care much for that. But it's a nice little pre-order if you want it. But it's fine. I enjoyed it, but I think that's only because I enjoy the series. I don't think it does enough new stuff to kind of, because they've scrapped the UFC Ultimate Team, which was always pretty bland anyway. But it doesn't feel like they've really added much. There's like a cool multiplayer mode, like a blitz mode, where it's like a 64-player tournament, and you're given like random, like the kind of rules might change every match. So some matches might go for just 3 rounds, or each round there might just be 1 minute long round, and then you're given points based on that round. So there's stuff like that, and then you get eliminated and you carry on, which is kind of cool. But yeah,
not to shit on these like the sports games, not to do that now here, but like, have we just reached peak with these kind of games and like what they can bring in, like FIFAs and things like you're going to talk about another one now in a second, which I do think probably may have improved on, like, you know, but like it sounds like UFC 4 is enjoyable, but you're like, as you said, you're a fan of the franchise.
But yeah, just for that reason,
but like it's just kind of like it does things that you're not really interested in, like the social media
visuals don't feel any different,
and like, visuals are great.
But there's like this, like there's one thing which I hate about it is the way, like when you knock someone out, their body just crumple, like they don't fall properly. So like they don't fall with the momentum of a punch. Like if you're punching someone like that, they're gonna like kind of fall back.
Yeah.
But you hit them and they just flop to the floor.
I know, yeah.
And I want that realism. It doesn't feel like that. But I think there are companies like 2K. Like I know we're going to talk about PGA Golf, but 2K, like their NBA series, there's so much in that game. Like it's so packed with, like not just modes, but like what they add to it, and they're very in tune with the content they provide. Like they don't bring any new modes to it, but they bring in new challenges and new players to like the My Team, and they spend a lot of time building the game once it's out. And like the gameplay is always the same, but they do a hell of a lot to make sure you keep playing back. And like I played NBA 2K20, like, you know, like I played it all year. I'm still playing it now. Like I love that game, and I think 2K masters it at kind of after the game's release, kind of keeping up with current trends. And like they keep up with the NBA season, and they even during like when it was off, they kind of did a thing where they simulated the rest of the season, and depending on who got a higher, like who played better in these simulations, they'd release cards that you could then unlock and for your team. And they're just constantly kind of sticking with the franchise. So there are ways UFC could, not EA as well, maybe not as good as 2K, but there are games that EA do that are good as well. But I just feel 2K are more ahead of the curve with it.
Are they masters at golf, Chris?
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know how you feel, Adam. Well, I read your preview, so I know you kind of into it. But like you're talking about games like Battletoads and that, where you know it's just fun and you just want to like beat shit up and that. This is the most chilled out, awesome game. Is
it?
I love it, man.
Yeah,
really?
Really
and like it is, because everything from like the silence and like just the commentary and the sun shining.
There's a real nice thwack to the ball.
The controls like are phenomenal. It's like just, you've got so much.
The controls are good.
To your, like, you're just hitting a ball, aren't you? But the way you can change the trajectory, the curve, like there's obviously different types of shots which you can play. You can play whatever shot you want. But the game, depending on whether you like the difficulty settings, it's not just easy, normal, hard. It's customize your difficulty settings. So you could take certain things off. So there's like a thing called a scout cam, which I use basically every shot, and it takes you to where the.
I think you're supposed to. I think
you probably would struggle
play without, but I think
because you want to look exactly where, especially when you get near the green and there's like a wind speed, like that will take your ball off course. You get your scout cam, it takes your camera right over the ball and it'll give you the grid of where it will land and like the way the ground is shaped underneath. And so you can kind of get an idea of where the ball will land so that you can play your shot exactly how you want to play it. And like just the career trajectory as well, the way you play in your opening tournaments, and depending on how you do, you can go through to the official PGA Tour, and then you can have like rivalries in that. But the rivalries are done a bit better. It's not just like you're a twat on social media. You're playing against this person, and you can gain like additional bonuses for beating them. But it's just dead chilled out, and I like. There's not loads to it, like, but you don't need loads to it.
See, my concern, man. My concern is that. So this is, it's a golf game, like that's, and I don't mean that negatively. It's got the new modern swing where you use the left stick to swing your club as if you're swinging a real club. My concern of it is that the people behind it, HB Studios, they're the ones who made the golf club games, and they're reasonably popular. Started off, they were decent. Now they've got better at it. My concern is whether adding the PGA Tour license to that does elevate it, or if people will play it feeling like, oh, it's the golf club. 4, 3, whatever it would be. I think it'd be 3. Because like I played the preview build, and even when I would say, like, I would capture footage using like shadow play, which is often what people use for the PC, it would even actually save it as the Golf Club 2020, which I found quite interesting. I haven't captured any of the full build on PC, so I can't say if that's been updated, because it could have just been. It's just a simple thing that probably didn't seem important to change, and it isn't. It isn't important at all. I think the PGA Tour license does add quite a lot to it, because it gives it reminded me a little bit of how PES versus FIFA, and gameplay is king in sports games, depending on your preference, but those licenses matter.
Yeah,
they do matter. Like if NBA 2K didn't have the rights to any of those people, it would be a lesser game. The days of Eric Cantona, they're gone. People expect, the real names, the real teams, the real, and I know that's a shitty thing to say.
I don't think it is.
PES,
I think it
adds.
I think you're right. Because like obviously in the first few tournaments, you're playing against completely random named people, aren't you? So like when I'm second in the rankings and Javier de Souza is first, I'm like, all right, well, I've just got to beat that guy.
Mate, yeah.
But when you've got guys like Justin Thomas and you're challenging him for you feel like, right, I need to beat Justin Thomas. He's one of the world's best.
But just the commentary and the overall presentation, I think that the PGA Tour license has kind of added. For me, as having played the golf club games, not recently, I played the first one and I didn't play one since. For me, it does elevate it. It does give it the feel of a more premium priced product, if that makes sense.
And the fact that 2K's name's on it as well, like the My Player, the kind of 2K thing, where you create your character and My Player, and then everything you do builds up their gear and their clubs and stuff.
Here's one for you, because again, I haven't played the retail build yet. I will. Because what I noticed about the preview build is there's a lot of customization and a lot of currency. It looks as though it uses a similar system to NBA, where you can what was it, VC, isn't it? VC, yeah. It looks like VC's present, which means you can, but it's not. It seemed to me like it was just cosmetics.
I think there's no
performance.
You can't level up your skills.
No.
It's just pure items, and you earn a fair bit of currency playing the career.
Yes. And by the way, I love that. Sorry, Chris, to cut across you, but I really love the in-match. Look, it appears like a little gold thing appears, like, hey, can you get to? Really, really clever.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Really well incentivized.
Yeah.
Like, so Adam, it will bring up like a thing of like you start the hole and it will come up with, like bonus XP if you get onto the green in 2 shots, and it's like little things like that.
Little
I think
objectives,
quite little clever to add those little objectives.
Yeah, they just slide in, don't bother the game, just nice and
It's just there. And
but
it doesn't matter if you ignore it, really.
There is tons of customization. You obviously create your own character, make them look how you want, but the clothes and the clubs, everything from your hats to your shoes and your gloves or whatever, you can buy quite a lot, and not like some are relatively expensive, but you play enough rounds, like you'll get your currency, and then there are also certain items you can unlock solely whilst playing the career that you don't have to buy; they just unlock for you. And you're like, even in the opening few tournaments, you're getting like new hats and stuff, and like new. I decked myself in a really nice sweater, like a checkered cream, red and black sweater. I really like. Oh, he's got the hat on. Sexy boy. But yeah, I really like it, man.
And say, and just for the record, this is not a sponsored. They did send. It's just here that, and we will have a video on the. They sent a little press back through for the preview, which I never got around to doing. But sorry, Chris, carry on.
No, it's okay. But yeah, so it's fun to play. There's not loads of modes, but there's more than enough. Especially when you say a course takes you anything from half an hour to 45 minutes to play through. And then you can create, like, if you're bothered about going online, there's like online societies where you can essentially create your own golf club and you can invite players.
So that stuff I couldn't check out in the preview build, and that stuff seemed super cool.
Yeah,
really cool idea. I don't know if that's something they've taken from NBA or.
You can't really do that, no, because in NBA they don't really have it. I think it's just because golf has that kind of society where you've got everyone goes to a specific place, and like you can create them up to like members of like hundreds, thousands, I think that devs were saying, and you can like set difficulties for each. So if you want to let players in that will only play at like a harder difficulty, then they can. Or you don't even need to set settings. Like each player that joins can just play on their own difficulty. But you can kind of band together and work together to get like stuff for your club. It's just really cool. And the course creator as well, which is bonkers.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can build stupidly hard courses or pretty courses. You can put an alligator in a desert.
Squirrels.
Yeah, there's loads of stuff. Like, so if you want to, and they can also be uploaded and people can play them. You can choose them to be played on your core, like in your society. There's a lot of integration. I mean, I don't know what kind of people play this game, because I don't know if kids like golf anymore. But like,
they never like golf, mate, kids.
No, I suppose crazy golf maybe.
Well, I did when I was a kid.
But no, it's just good fun.
You're enjoying it.
Yeah, I like it. I'm looking forward to play more.
Okay. Well, at the risk of putting Adam to sleep with more sport, do we want to get into listener correspondence, or Ad, you got anything you wanna?
No, no, I have nothing right now. I'll have more stuff next week.
You will. Okay, right. Well, this is one from McPoo, who says, let's start with you, Adam. Which iconic PlayStation character do you think you could batter in a fight? Feel free to replace with a Nintendo character.
This is easy. The Butler and Tomb Raider.
Just sweep his legs out.
Lock him in a freezer.
Take the tray off him and bang him. There you go. Done.
Okay. That's simple. Chris?
I reckon I could batter Kratos' son.
Thinks.
Yeah, the start of the game.
He'd destroy you. Sorry.
No, not the start. When he doesn't know who he is, when he's kind of still like, who am I? What does the future hold for me?
Still fires a bow and arrow at you.
Yeah, but if he's not looking, I'll just toss him over the head with a rock. Done.
Yeah, but what if Kratos is there? What are you doing then?
He won't be. I'll make sure he's asleep. Like a real coward. Bang.
Right. I'm going to try and stick to more realistic.
No, it's realistic.
That is realistic.
If he's asleep and I smash him in the head with a rock, he's dead, isn't he?
Yeah.
No, there was no specifics about how I was going to do
kill
this.
A child.
He's killing a child. I'm killing an old man. What are you going for?
I reckon I could take Nathan Drake.
I know.
Not his brother.
I know. Come on, no. Be real here. Nathan Drake.
Guns. No guns.
Yeah, but did you see the way he swings around the gaff?
Hollywood fights.
How would you get on? Okay, so if you're fighting Nathan Drake and you're running after him, no guns and stuff, and he's doing his whole business of climbing everywhere and swinging on ropes.
Why is he doing that? Then I won. If he's running away like a coward, I've won. I win. End of.
So do you mean? Default. So you are telling me here that you could swing on a rope and do that whole?
Why am I swinging on a rope? And why am I doing that?
Because there's no guns.
But this is the mano-a-mano fight. There's no traversal.
He'll find some sort of environment to do.
He's cheated. The rules are that it's a fight. It's a straight fight.
Yeah, I wonder how big Ratchet is, like compared to a human. Like you probably just boot him.
Tiny.
Boot the shit out of him.
Oh, it's Sully. Fine, Sully.
Aunt May from Spider-Man.
Sully would have a fair chance
at the end,
maybe.
Oh, thanks, ads.
No bother, mate.
This question comes in via email from Marshall, who says, with remakes and ports being so popular recently, do you think developers should add to or modify the original games? So this kind of goes back to the Tony Hawk's thing. You know, do you want just a re-up of that in a modern thing, and and that's it? Or do you want?
It depends on the game. It depends on the game, because with Tony Hawk's,
there can't be many left to do.
Tony Hawk's, I'm quite happy with it just to have the gameplay changed and mash it all together in one disc. Yeah, modernize it. Like there's certain games that I'd love. I'm not asked about going back to the originals, but like if Metal Gear Solid, if one day in the future, I don't know how it would happen, but if a proper remake of Metal Gear Solid 1 happened, I'd be happy for life. Like that would be incredible.
Would you be up for that? Would you?
Absolutely.
I think about that weekly.
Only if I know it's Kojima, but only if he had a hand in it, and it won't happen. I don't think. I wouldn't like to see. I wouldn't like to see Konami do it, just because I just feel like he'd be able to just do it properly, do it justice, just tweaks here and there, and I wouldn't want anyone else messing with that franchise. To be honest,
See, the game I think of the most now is Final Fantasy VII Remake, because at the time of finishing that, I was so angry at how it ended. But the longer since, like, I still have it as my desktop wallpaper, but the longer it goes from sort of then to now, the more I think, you know what, they're probably right to do that, because if you just, it felt like a faithful remake all the way through, but it wasn't really, because the combat was completely different. But also there were nods as you played it that things were different. Not like, not big ones where you're like, oh, how dare you? But there were just little ones where you're like, oh, that's interesting. Enough to make you actually, if you think about it, notice earlier on things were slightly different. And I'm sort of trying to talk around spoiling it because it's still,
yeah.
But the more I think about it, the more I think that original game still exists. And you can go and play that, especially Final Fantasy VII. I mean, it's literally available on PlayStation 4. So I think, why not do something to it to make it your like, you know, it's kind of like Gears 4 and 5. If they hadn't added their own things to it, all they were really doing is remaking Gears with a different story. You know, they were adding their and it's the thing with Halo Infinite that a lot of people are now coming around on, is that yes, that looks like Halo 1, but Halo 1 exists, and you know,
I think Final Fantasy VII Remake, though, it's one of those ones that there's so much that has changed in it that you're like, all right, you're either in or you're not. You either accept it or you just don't. Like, you know, that's just the way it is.
And I'm actually thinking of starting it again, like going on hard or something, because it's really been in my head recently. Like, God, that was so good. I was in love with that game.
Yeah, know? But I really don't like when a remake or HD, whatever you want to call it, comes out and they've left 90% of the game the exact same with just a bit of a coating, whatever, but then added something small, but it's just so annoying. Like, I can't even that, but sometimes developers will throw this new thing in. You're like, it just does not work. Like, that shouldn't be there. There was no need for it, you know. Things like that. I don't know. It's a hard call. You think about your loved games. You think about what would happen if, like I said, Metal Gear Solid. What would you want it to personally be like? And when I think of Metal Gear 1, like PlayStation anyway, it's just a visual. It's just a visual department. Maybe I'll accept, and the light. I don't want anything else changed in that game.
I think I played it about 3 or 4 years ago on the PSP, the original, and it's still amazing.
Oh,
like the control.
You might have said that about Final Fantasy VII.
No, definitely. But like if they went off and like really changed the Metal Gear story, I just wouldn't be up for it. And
I wouldn't want them to use the controls from Metal Gear 5. I want it to be simple like the first one.
Yeah, it still has to have nearly all the same camera angles, and it needs to feel that way. It's just the coding, it's just the lighting and the graphics that I would ever want to change in that game, you know? Even though I still love how it looks.
Yeah.
So it's very tricky when it comes to games like that.
It is, and as you can probably hear, the drilling has begun in where I live again. So it seems like as good a time as any to say thank you for the questions, thank you for the chat, Adam and Chris. You can catch us anywhere. Just type our brand name. God is a gook. God is a gook. Now, I finally done it. I finally pronounced it wrong. We've had God is a Greek. We've had God is all sorts, but God is a geek. Sorry, it's really loud and really distracting that I can't even think what I'm trying to say. So God is a Geek into Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Patreon, where we give this podcast early in both video and audio form. But as
that's quite loud.
It's quite loud. It's literally like you see that. I mean, this is bad for the audio, but this wall here, there is a fence behind there that is literally where it is happening. So thank you.
Oh, it'd be so
everyone.
funny if it came through.
It really wouldn't be for me. It really wouldn't be funny for me. Chris, Adam, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
And everyone else, we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. We'll see you whenever you choose to listen. So I'm really... Bye.